अच्छा वो एक शीट तो तैयार हो गई मोटा मोटी तो ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा वो है कैसे करना that number is big
So, I think we have started the webinar. We will begin in next 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today to this insightful webinar on making ESG actionable, the role of real-time data and automation. Over to you,
नंबर देख के
Professor.
मैं खुद टेंशन में आ रहा हूँ इतना बड़ा नंबर
Pratik?
I think he lost the connectivity. It looks like standstill.
Yeah, I just a minute. Sorry for interrupting, guys. Just a minute. Yeah, Pratik, you can begin.
Right. Thanks, Veena. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, on behalf of Updapt and ESG Tech Company, I warmly welcome you to today's webinar, Making ESG Actionable, the Role of Real-Time Data and Automation. We are pleased to see such a diverse audience joining us from across sectors, functions, and geographies. So, as companies respond to regulatory pressures, investor expectations, and internal sustainability goals, the ability to track ESG performance in real time is becoming a defining advantage. But this requires more than just dashboards. It calls for integrated systems, cultural alignment, and a mindset shift across the organization. This webinar will dive into how leaders are applying technology, redefine ESG governance, and using real-time insights to drive real impact, not just compliance. It's now my privilege to introduce our esteemed panelists who bring a wealth of experience and on-the-ground perspective to this discussion. Starting with the only lady in the panel, we have Ms. Subhra Das Gupta. She is the sustainability lead at Siemens India with more than 20 years of professional experience. Subhra brings deep knowledge and leadership to the ESG space. She began her career in the travel industry and transitioned into sustainability, where she now leads sustainability in supply chain management at Siemens, ensuring ESG is embedded across procurement, logistic, and supplier engagement. Then we have with us Mr. Rahul Jadhav. He is the head of ESG at Continum Energy with over 24 years of cross-sectoral experience spanning renewable energy, infrastructure, government, consulting, and academia. Rahul has led impactful ESG initiatives. At Continum, he drives the company's sustainability strategy across its wind, solar, and hybrid portfolio. His work spans across green bond assurance, water stewardship, and climate risk disclosures aligned with global standards like GRI, TCFD, and integrated reporting. Then we have with us Mr. Sunil Hulsurkar. He's the DGM ESG and Sustainability at Kaltaru Projects with over 26 years of experience across EPC, infrastructure, metals, and consulting. Sunil has led ESG systems development for organizations with over 200 locations. His expertise includes carbon certification, QSHE, and integrating ESG into core business operations. Sunil has also completed executive program from IIMs and is currently pursuing a CXO transformation program from XLRI. Then last but not the least, we have Mr. Brajesh Sharma. He is the corporate head sustainability at JK Cement, an alumnus of IIT, ISM and IIM Indore. Brajesh has over 14 years of experience driving sustainability in heavy industries such as cement, steel, petrochemicals, and at JK Cement, he leads the corporate sustainability roadmap aligned with frameworks like SBTI, GRI, SDGs, and TCFD. He also spearheaded a company-wide ESG digital transformation integrating SAP S/4HANA with real-time sustainability platforms. I welcome you all. Starting with the discussion, I'll go first with Brajesh only. So my first question is to Brajesh. So Brajesh, cement manufacturing being a very energy intensive industry. So how are you applying automation or analytics to reduce emissions or manage resources?
Yeah, Pratik. Hi, good afternoon, and good afternoon, my panelist members too. So I'm audible, I hope, right? You can confirm.
Loud and clear,
Yeah,
Brajesh.
you are.
Thank you so much. So as you have mentioned, it's actually not eventually energy intensive industry. It's a guzzler actually for this kind of sector pertaining like eventually cement or we can say steels. Both are in same line, right? And they are kind of a hard to abate sectors too, right? And for us, we see automations and analytics. It's just not an efficiency tool, but it's a core of our strategies also, right? Either for a decarbonization journey or for a resource management. And we have actually preliminary focus in two areas while considering this journey of automations or analytics, right? One is towards a process optimization, which is a core strength of any manufacturing firm, right? While you are making your product or means either processing your product, right? You need to be done in that way that it gives something extra edge towards from the peers, right? Because process remains same somewhat in our sectors, right? Pertaining towards cement, if we say it's a dry process, everyone knows, and it's a simpler process, right? But how you optimize your energies, how well way you uses that particular energy in making your products, it's important, right? So in our case, we have implemented digital twins that help us to just to understand the small things in a process, right? We have eventually uses AI in a different forums where it has been integrated with our plants, machines, and sensors, right? Where we can take actions, right? Prior prior knowing means what kinds of minimum energy inputs are required, right? How can help us in reducing our fuel consumptions in kiln. Kiln is one of a kind of a hut for a cement plants where it has a temperature around 1400 degrees Celsius, right? So it's pretty important and precisely just to control that particular area, right? How efficiently you worked on that aspects. Parallelly, we are using alternate fuels and raw materials as a uh, part of a kind of eventually replacing those conventional fuels with them, right? So it's pretty important for us eventually to understand that how proportionately we can replace the conventional fuels with this alternate fuels. So we required such kinds of optimizations, right? And the another important aspect of automation and analytics is in predictive maintenance and the resource flow, right? So we have shifted towards eventually a predictive maintenance rather than going after maintenance work, right? So in a case of an environment perspective, we have put it down the latest real-time equipments across all our all plants like OCMS and CQMS, which give us a real-time values and we take actions against those. So this is a journey in your case. I'm happy to see how other peoples can respond on that.
So great. So you mean to say you are using predictive analytics to improve your equipment reliability, like
Right,
with machine learning models, where you can forecast equipment wear and breakdowns, so that it
right.
it it gives you longevity as well as right time of maintenance. Oh, that's great.
Right.
Uh, Great. So my next question is to Subra. Subra, how like Siemens operates in a very complex supply chain ecosystem. So how do you ensure ESG data flows smoothly across supplier tiers?
Right. So you can hear me, right,
Yeah,
Prateek?
loud and clear, Subra. Yeah.
Good. So again, I mean, hello from my side as well. I mean, to the panelists here and also to the audience who have joined us. I think it's a great question, Prateek, to begin with. And honestly, I think it's one of the biggest puzzles we work on every day. And when you consider such a vastness in our supply chain in organization like us, getting ESG data to flow smoothly is always not straightforward. But we have certainly learned a lot and still learning, I would say, how to make it happen. I mean, just to call out a few of the approaches that we have internally aligned and defined is firstly, in terms of standardization and clear framework. I think that is something which is something that we prioritize on. So defining like clear, consistent ESG matrix and also reporting requirements that are aligned with the international standards and also with our Siemens own sustainability goals. And that is, I think, which is very, very critical because this ensures that the suppliers, regardless of their size and location, understand exactly what needs to be done, what needs to be fed in. And also this kind of minimizes ambiguity and also kinds of facilitate aggregation in terms of data collections. The other important aspect I feel is the technology and digitalization. So rightly as you said, so leveraging digital platform is very, very critical, I feel. So when we also implemented a kind of dedicated supplier portals and supply chain management systems that kind of allows us for like kind of a formulated data input collection, automated collections, and some of the parameters also include a real-time monitoring. Yeah, this helps us, of course, as we all know, automation definitely helps us reducing all the manual efforts and also improves the data accuracy across the tiers and also kind of act as a central repository when you talk about the ESG requirements. The other important aspect I also believe in capacity building and collaboration with our supplier partners. I said it's not always about demanding data sets, right? We are all demanding, and just imagine the number of customers, the number of suppliers, the amount of data that is being requested for today. It is also enabling our supplier partners. We need to enable them. We need to actively engage with them, talk about them, help them, guide them. And I think there are a lot of small and medium suppliers in our region, specifically in India, that needs a little bit of better or more hand holding than the other bigger organizations. The other two critical aspects I would like to call out is also the data governance and verification. I think the robust data governance is very, very essential when it comes to data reliability. I think we also establish a clear process for data validations, quality checks, and also accuracy, so that there is credibility for the data, what you are asking from your supplier partners. And again, I would say it kind of helps us also as Siemens to identify the potential gaps, the non-compliance issues, if there is any within the system, and also continuously review the data collection process, the supplier engagement strategies, the technology solutions that we are adapting. So because ESG landscape is evolving, right? And we also need to evolve and we also need to kind of bridge the gaps wherever we see. So I think this is important in order to help improve efficiency and effectiveness of the data flow. I mean, this is something what comes to my mind and what I can add at this point of time, but happy to hear our panelists' views on the same.
So that was so yeah, you're absolutely right. As this ESG is getting uh, it's evolving day by day. So, helping the suppliers to also graduate to another level where you can, give them key action plans according to their size and what they are missing out currently. Yeah, well said. Uh, so Sunil, you coming from an EPC company, so infrastructure projects typically span into multiple years and locations. So how do you ensure ESG consistency and data continuity across such projects?
Yeah, thank you, Pratik, for this question. I have varied experience from manufacturing, consulting to construction. Whereas the challenges in construction or APC are a little bit different from the manufacturing sector. Okay. Right now, I will say we have operative more than 200 project sites in more than 30 countries where more than 30 nationalities people are working. So getting the data is always a problem in ESG. But however, we have streamlined the data collection. We have software approach for the data collection. But just imagine the scenario. In our case, we have a portfolio of EPC, engineering, procurement, and construction, where some of the clients may give the materials, some of the clients may ask us to supply the materials. So multiple scenarios are there. In some cases, the electricity even is also given by the clients. So you can understand the scope 1, scope 2, as well as scope 3, the complexities. Now, apart from the plain scope 1 and 2 requirements, there are EU directives or CBAM requirements are there, where the boundaries are a little bit varying with the common GHG protocols. So there are different scenarios for the data which are getting populated for each and every project. So our team is working on project master for that site. What should be the ESG data? What should be the input? How it can be processed? How it can be calculated? How it can be presented? Because at multiple levels, being nationalities of 30 nations and sites, the data gets populated at the sites, get cross-checked. Then BU level, business unit head checks it, and corporate team, we have internal corporate team, which keeps quality checks, whether the methodology is correct, where the internal checks are there. And as the SEBI is moving towards the more assurance, from limited to reasonable, and to bring the credibility, the retrieval is again not a challenge, I will say, the requirement. So we are managing the centralized data through the software, whereas multiple sites are giving and approvals are there. So this is very complex, and this requirement our people are handling. Now these predefined scenarios are helping us to standardize the thing, to get the easy retrieval. Project masters are there, multiple sites approach is there. So we are learning, we are improving day by day in view of different requirements from all the disclosure requirements which are embedded, integrated into that. So that is the thing.
So well said. So it must be a very difficult task, as you said, like 30 nations and
200 sites.
people from those nations. So
Yeah.
everything changes. There is very dynamic
Yes.
forms you need to be preparing for. So yeah, great. So moving on to Rahul. So Rahul, as you are from a renewable energy company, so how can renewable energy producers move beyond ESG pledges to demonstrate measurable real-time impact? Rahul, you're on mute. Yeah, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah, now loud and
Yes.
clear now.
Yeah. Okay, so it was good hearing you all, what you guys are doing in your own basic sector, looking at alternate ways and combining ESG data and trying to uh, identify the gaps and move forward. But in terms of what Pratik has been asking right now, in terms of how do we move beyond pledges and demonstrate measurable or real-time impact, right? I mean, being in the wind, solar, hybrid or BESS power plant, we don't envisage that many challenges as people might be in Uzbekistan or Siemens would have to go through in terms of your supplier chain assessment and so on and so forth. But you know what? I think the key here in going beyond the pledges would be, I would say, it's like real-time data and digital monitoring. So what we have done is at our various sites, in terms of water and other aspects, like we have smart meters and we are looking at IoT sensors and so on and so forth, right? Of course, we are also looking at automotive carbon calculators. We are working with the CE and other aspects, whether we can get some real-time data monitoring, on all those aspects, right? But the real challenge within our industry is getting the scope 3 data with respect, working with our supply chain partners and getting them on board. It's a real challenge. So you know what? That is one of the key concerns how, as far as our industry is concerned. I mean, this is a common challenge that everyone in this industry faces, right? But whatever data we collect, we try to ensure that this data is being weighted through an independent, reasonable assurance by reputed auditors. So we have one of the big fours who is working with us, doing the reasonable assurance for our all the sites, right? So that input will be a part of our sustainability report. That is, so we ensure that whatever data collection is being done is as per the standards, as per the requirements of GRI, and is in sync with the GSG protocols and so on and so forth, right? So uh, that is another link. Then another thing what we are doing in our industry is linking the impacts with the financial instruments, right? So in terms of green bonds or sustainability link bonds or carbon credits and so on and so forth, this gives an opportunity for us within the industry to get our data validation tools right in place, get it verified. So across the spectrum and ensure that whatever we are doing is being in line with the international best practices, right? So we do have to do a lot of capacity building, because one of the key challenges we face is like our plants are located at remote locations, and getting people, highly qualified people, or people who can manage the task at their own site level, it's a little bit a challenge for us. So I would say these are a few challenges for us in terms of getting the ESG supply chain. But as I have been discussing with Prateek over the last couple of weeks, so we are looking into bringing in softwares where we can integrate the data that has been collected at various sites, so that we can avoid certain gaps and move forward towards a transition from being using Excels and other stuff to a digitized platform, right? So we can have a comparative, do certain analysis, and look into a predictive analysis as well. So that's all as of now.
Thanks, Rahul. So, the use of IoT sensors and smart meters, and also the grid monitoring can help you to track actual energy produced and emissions avoided. So, yeah, so absolutely right.
Yeah, but the CA is quite skeptical about it. They are not happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving to Sunilji again. So Sunilji, what are some unique challenges in large scale projects and environments, and how do you use automation to address them?
See, as I said, as Rahul also said, their presence is at a remote location. So if you identify infrastructure projects happen generally in the remote locations and multiple locations. Okay. The challenge is to start with the communication itself. Since we operate in different time zone, 4 to 5 time zones, when the corporate team is in the office, someone is working in the night because the time zone is different. So having them on a common platform for the databases to conclude something, to measure something, to analyze something and improve is a challenge. So we have adopted monitoring system, which is IoT based again. Like construction vehicles are main equipments for us for fossil fuel consumption, where each and every instrument or equipment is geotagged, and it's monitored with fuel consumption, working hours, what is the efficiency, operator-wise, equipment-wise, day-wise, and what is the fuel consumption. So this monitoring gives us the idea about the trends, what is happening, and what is the efficient or inefficient equipment. Either it is from the origin of equipment, it calls for the maintenance or predictive something, or it calls for the replacement of entire the equipment itself. So the decision making is very clear in view of this clear monitoring and measurement data. So that is the automation, one of the automation we have done. We have used this not for communication and measurement but for surveillance, since the guy from Mumbai can do surveillance of all equipments, what was the efficiency yesterday. At the same time, I will say our safety guys also, they have deployed IoT or AI based model for the surveillance at the sites, because construction industry is very labor intensive or human intensive. So number of people are working there. So it's not enough that safety officers or someone at supervisor level the monitors the safety. So this CCTV and automated system is giving warning to the user, to the safety officer, to the project in charge, what is happening on the site. So that level of automation we have done. We are implementing to more areas. We are exploring the areas. So that is the thing we are having.
Great, great. So coming back to Suvra. Suvra, what role does real-time data play in responsible sourcing or supplier audits in your experience?
I think, again, a good question. I mean, real-time data, I would say, is like a game changer for responsible sourcing or supplier audit. And I would also add on to that, because it also helps you kind of monitor your decarbonization goals, since we are talking about ESG here today. I think it's a complete new thing. And while we speak how it is changing suppliers and the real-time data, how it will help us with the supplier partners, I think it's also important to understand. And I always ask this question to myself: what are we doing? Are we doing enough as an organization? And then, of course, we look towards our supplier partners to do so, right? So when I look at Siemens, I think we are also doing a lot. And we have also an energy monitoring system, which is in place in our own Bombay premises, where we have a real-time visibility in terms of a data monitoring for over 1,000+ locations, and not only India and across the globe. So we have established the system, and because of which we are able to see or reap benefits in terms of looking into how our energy is growing, monitoring, and also how we can kind of optimize it. Yeah, and this also helps us in achieving our decarbonization targets. While we do so, I think it's a great thing to have, but I mean, there are a lot of benefits I can call out, like, for example, proactive risk identification. I think we can also spot potential issues like unusual energy spikes, water consumption, etc. We can also look into the performance monitoring of the supplier partners. We can also intervene if there is something not happening or needs corrective actions, etc. But again, it all depends or relies on the openness of the supplier partners to integrate and share this data with us, right? And of course, openness with our supplier partners. And again, I go back to the same thing, that how do we do this, right? We need to build in trust, yeah? And we need to show value both to us as well as our supplier partners, providing tools that may be like user-friendly with clear guidance, etc. So these are the things that can, I think, help in creating that open environment for the suppliers. And also, I personally believe that technology definitely enables the real-time insights, but the willingness of the partners to connect their systems is vital for truly transparent and effective responsible sourcing or audits or whatsoever. So this would be my take in terms of the real-time data.
So are you taking some evidence as for their reporting as well from your suppliers, like for
Yes.
example, yeah, some electricity bills or some
Yes. So what we are
documents
doing
which
is that,
can,
so
yeah.
Yeah, that's right, Pratik. I think it's a valid question as well. So, as you know, that we have also the BRSR code requirements, which require some kinds of disclosure from your top suppliers, right? So, having said that, I know we have partnered with Adapt as well, and one of our digital platform providers, where we have started collecting information from our suppliers, where we also ask them to submit their electricity bills, etc. While we are doing it, but we also intend to go on a real life, yeah, like integrating their system, like I think Rahul just pointed out, like how we do it for our own operation, installing meters, energy meters, water meters that can directly connect the data to the system. And if, again, if the suppliers are open, I mean, it all depends upon the openness, how comfortable they are with kind of connecting their system with ours, it can provide us a more authentic kind of a data. And of course, this definitely requires a third party assurance for validation and kind of building in more trust. So yeah, we are doing it, but maybe not on a real time basis, but currently based on the information what the suppliers are providing. But honestly, the ultimate aim would be to kind of integrate their system with us, because that is what real time data is all about.
Yeah, so moving to Brajesh. So Brajesh, JK Cement is having plants across geographies, and so how do you bring ESG down to the plant level in a way that is practical and measurable?
Yeah, I'm audible, Pratik.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Again, it's a pretty wonderful question, and not challenging right now, because in a course of action, it's a mandatory, right? Because we should have a both approach, right? Top to down or down to top, right? So, however, the targets and other things we make out on a corporate level, it needed to be cascaded down towards a plant. And when I say plants, it is there till the granularity, means each individual is linked there with the ESG related targets, right? Then only you can suffice, or means can achieve such kinds of long strategies what you have made for either in a short course of action or a time horizon or a long term horizon. And they are our ears and eyes, what we say is in our common meetings across plants, right? So the things used to come from their end, right? We in a corporate usually sits and understand what are their pain areas and help them to curate such kinds of a solution with them. But uh, I eventually feel, and eventually my panelists can also add on to that, means ESG can be feel like it's a pretty corporate kind of a mandate for them, but the impact is towards plant only, right? So
Yeah.
how we translate means while setting them and giving smart basis KPIs, right, which should curate our strategies in a such a way that we achieve those targets in a form of a ESG, right? So what we have done, we have a sections, right, in each manufacturing organizations. We know there are sections. It's a kind of a batch processes. Sometimes it's a continuous processes. So we have a kind of both specific energy targets and eventually water consumptions targets. And if you talk about the social perspective, we have a targets towards LTFIR in a case of a safety, employee training hours, rights. And we eventually captures the community engagements too, because all these pieces curates ESG performances, right, together. And they all are pieces which needs to be sum up in together way that the whole things come up as a symphony, right? So in that way we used to do, and we have a regular kind of a frequency where we used to have a kind of a real time basis discussions with the teams also, because nowadays the IoT based platform help us to understand the spikes where the delta is moving up or down, right? So in most of our KPIs, eventually the MD or a top management or a leadership also directly have a real time access. So this is eventually pretty important also, where means on a daily basis you can talk to them and speak to them that how your KPIs are moving, right? Rather than waiting for a longer time of a period, either for a month or a quarterly basis, right? So Now, with the help of a technology, means everything's are moving, right? So that's how we are bringing down this ESG across plants, right? And every individual has been tagged with the corresponding their KPIs in a reference to their sections where they are working, right? So this is how JK Cement is working, and we are
So
building
Rahul,
kind of, yeah, it's
yeah.
okay.
So I could see Rahul, you want to pitch in? Yeah, you're again on mute, Rahul.
You
Rahul is on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I think it's really interesting when you talk about how do you integrate and how do you have a top-down approach or a bottom-up approach, and how do you have the CXOs and the senior management on the board
Right,
to get the things delivered. So what we have done in our organization, basically in the last ESG board meeting, uh, what we have done is we made everybody understand the seriousness about certain aspects, and the board has approved to one of the aspects, that is everyone's incentives have been linked to the ESG performances.
right.
Okay,
And
so
eventually, Rahul, it's a mandate in many
yeah.
disclosures.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a mandate, but you know what? I mean, this is something, as the ESG spectrum gets evolved, we will find some other different ways to bring everybody on board, and because it should be
Right,
mandatory, it's like, we have to make ourselves more vibrant in the sense we have to make them understand the importance of ESG and things and so on and so forth. So I always give an example that on the table you are drinking bottled water, right? But do you know what is the source of bottled water? I mean, that important it is right now, understanding and moving in terms of mitigations and making this planet a place to live, because as we progress 20, 30, 40 years, things are going to be more difficult, not for me, but for my kids and their kids. So I think every step what we take right now is going to have a far-reaching implications in the near future. Yeah, that's all I wanted to add. That's it.
Absolutely right.
eventually, what
Absolutely right, Rahul.
Pratik Rahul ji has pointed out very well. Thing eventually, rewards and recognitions also plays very pivotal role in this journey, right? While you are giving tasks to the lower down people, it's pretty important. Also, you should recognize them, and that too on a regular way. So the linking incentive for a top management is one of part, but while the worker in a worker level, if someone is putting good guidance and giving you something on a shop floor, right? He or she must be recognized, and that's too we are doing in our case. We have a different categories of a projects in a name of either it's a protsahan or there are numerous kind of things, right? And I just don't want to be pretty specific about that thing, but and it's most of the top organizations are doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Good discussion on this particular question. So yeah, coming back to you, Rahul, in continuity to my earlier question to you, which real-time data points, for example, carbon intensity, your grid efficiency, or water use, or biodiversity impact, are most critical for a green energy company to track?
Well, I mean, see, every company has their own approaches. I mean, when you do the materiality assessment and lay down the survey and ask for the inputs, everybody will have their own way of looking at things, But being an environmentalist, I think though we are in the renewable energy, I think the most important, the critical aspect for us is the impacts on the biodiversity, So, I mean, if you just pull out the sustainability reports of some of the leading players in India in renewable sector, I mean, I'm really surprised, that there is no mortality of birds, when you're talking about kilometers of transmission line and so many amounts of wind turbines that you have installed, right? And then you say there is no bird mortality. I mean, it's hard to digest. It is unscientific in a way. Either you're not monitoring or you don't want to report it. And in my experience, it is both, right? So we have to move, we have to educate our CXOs in this aspect and help them understand. See, because if there is a mortality, there is what else? What can we do? And because the Indian regulations are so gray in our sector, we don't even require any approvals from the ministry or a local government agency to set up a plant and move forward. It is all what is driving us is basically the investor requirements, the lender requirements. And as long as the lenders don't get upfront and demand certain things from you, you're not going to do anything, Fine, you give us millions of dollars and we are happy and we just talk about the ROI and just move forward. But in terms of doing not only the bird and bat, which is a common acronym right now across the industry, but looking at the critical habitat assessments, and this is one of the aspects, which should not be done by each individual player. Say, for example, there are like maybe thousands of wind turbines, and there could be like over a dozen of developers within a certain area, like you go to Tuticorin or Tirunelveli or in Kutch area, right? So not every developer has to do that kind of study. The regulators need to come in and pitch in, so and do a certain and study which is applicable to that particular area. So this is what we are also looking at in terms of advocacy. We need to advocate and push the regulators to do something. You can bring all the 12 players on the board and everybody can chip in their amount and have a fantastic study round of it, right? And have arrive at certain recommendations, and then everybody can do their own major efforts to help and conserve the migratory or the species that are there, because the species that are those that are least concerned, that is okay. But what about the critically endangered and so on and so forth? So this is kind of a little bit gray area. I won't like to discuss much on it, but this is really, the Indian government and the regulators need to think about it. That when you say that wind and solar energy power plants are white category industries, it's a myth, I would say. It's not true. We have to come out of that stage and move forward.
So it must be because of the the push for providing electricity to remotest of areas. It might be that case from the government perspective, I'm saying, but you are absolutely right regarding the biodiversity. It is very important, and specifically birds for particularly for your sector.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to Brajesh. So Brajesh, what is more challenging in your view, setting ESG goals or building systems to achieve them?
Egg or chicken?
Yeah, means. So truly speaking, Pratik, in my opinion, all of you eventually, including you, and across means my friends have also joined from different organizations. They will also agree means setting goal is kind of a preliminary requirement, right? That we can do pretty easily as per the peer pressure or maybe regulative pressure, or just we want to become something, so we just set up that we'll do such kind of thing. But of course, executing it or means developing such kind of an ecosystem, so whatever you have written or you want to achieve, it's always difficult, right? Because it requires both time and money and commitments, right? The leadership buy-in is required in that. And after leadership, it's a collective approach where all the team members of our organizations are means to be part of that journey. Then only you can achieve those particular set goals, so-called ESG goals, or means if any X organization has set criteria that they will become a net zero, right? It's one of things, but it's a kind of a new jargon word across our domain, right? So, but how you are going to do that? Because it requires lots of capex, lots of opex also it's required on performing those particular plants and machines, and intent is too required, right? So in my opinion, it's a building systems or a ecosystem, it's always challenging. And in my opinion, Surilji or even Surya can pitch in it. This is as per me, and maybe the thoughts can vary from person to person. But in today era of sustainability, which is kind of a word which everyone wants to use in their resume right now, the building system is always challenging, right?
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I
agree
think,
to that.
Yeah, Surya.
yeah, I think just agree to what Brajesh said. I think it's very difficult, of course, but I guess it's also important to set up certain goals and certain frameworks. That definitely helps, because I also strongly believe, and I thought about this a long time, because when I'm driving this topic within my organization, I always think like what is in it for me and how is it that we are able to create some kind of a value. I know it may hear like a lot of buzzword because we keep on hearing it and it's like kind of used in day-to-day work in our resumes, etc. But even if it is forcefully impacted, even if it is investor driven, I still feel that whatever work we are doing, there is a value, there is an impact that we are creating. Yeah. I mean, it is very challenging, very difficult, but at least it is getting into the minds. And you know that, I mean, coming from procurement, I have heard productivity, resilience, innovation, etc. multiple times, quality multiple times. And it is not just 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. It has been driven since decades now. So this also needs to be driven in that direction and in that way. And that's all it will get. We will get there, for sure, we will get there. But again, time will say and how fast and what we need to do. And that's all what I wanted to add on.
So both the things are equally important, the
Yes.
goal
Yeah.
setting as well as the systems to achieve it. So you have to do simultaneously work on both the things to achieve your goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
have
so
something to add
yeah,
on
yeah,
this,
Sunil. Yeah.
Pratik.
Please,
See,
please.
Brijitji rightly said the system needs to be in place. Uh, Otherwise, ambition without feasibility or having a skeleton or system to drive it will become a greenwashing. And we know greenwashing people have paid multiple in terms of greenwashing. Whereas feasibility only data and calculations, technical proposal, without ambition, it will be boring. Like ESG वाला सिर्फ data मांगता है, proposal मांगता है. So it will have to go hand in hand. Whereas the system is in place, system is giving you the real-time picture and the forecasting also. Since the situation or the environment is very dynamic, what will happen after 3 years or 5 years, we don't know. But still, we will have to predict it. Now, in our case, project, if we are bidding a tender, we will get it after 1 year or 2 year. Or whereas we will work for 3 years means what will happen for 5 years duration. We have to anticipate in that. And as Subra said, ROI and all these things, whatever is the pressure, whoever is the source, whatever is happening good is good for the environment or good for the society. So let us hope for the best. We will have to keep a systematic and very optimistic approach.
So well said, Sunil ji. But yeah, coming back to Subra, what has been your biggest learning in aligning ESG data collection with both, operational KPIs and regulatory disclosures? See, we have both the things. We are seeing organizations
Yeah,
doing
I
both the
think that
things.
there has been,
Yeah.
correct. I guess there has been multiple learnings in this area, and honestly, I think one of the biggest learning, what I'm still working on, is asking for data once and smartly, yeah, so that it helps to mitigate both in terms of operational KPIs, where I'm also able to monitor the performance of my supplier, as well as in terms of a regulatory disclosures. Now, for example, one of the question is, and of course, what we have built from a BRSR core perspective as well, just to give a context to it, it's a percentage of renewable energy that they have in their total electricity consumptions. So while it gives me at least an indication, the inclination of the suppliers towards the renewable sources, it also gives me a pointer because this is also one of the regulatory disclosure. So it helps me in both ways, also to track how my supplier is performing and what is his intentions and how he is progressing year on year. And also because the regulatory disclosure requires me to also kind of say that how my supplier is doing, it also it's beneficial to me. So collecting data is one thing, but making use of the data is something that, I mean, at least we look forward to. Again, it's about getting useful data that works for everyone, right? It's just not about data collection and just providing or gathering it. So, I mean, honestly, these would be my views, but if there is anything, I mean, happy to hear from the other panelists as well if they have their views on this.
I agree, Subra. See, the data collection is the very basic exercise. We will have to draw the conclusions from that and we will have to act. The data will give us some inputs to take the decision. So data standalone will not serve the purpose. There should be a very strong drive, whereas phased action plan, since anything without action plan will not work, and we will have to leverage our actions instead. In view of this very dynamic environment, AI is coming to help us. The automation people have done, the efficiency is now questionable. Energy efficiency was never a concern earlier. Now energy efficiency is a concern. So it is going to happen. Only data will not serve the purpose.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Looking at the paucity of the time, I'll have my last question to Rahul. Rahul, how do you structure cross-functional accountability when ESG performance depends on multiple teams and systems?
Well, that's a very interesting question. You know what I mean, and we'll have to find our own ways. I mean, there is no concrete answer to this because, especially in my industry, my sector, you know what I mean. The biggest challenge, as I've mentioned earlier, is having the right people for the right job. You know, so we do have to work extensively with our colleagues at the site level, make sure they have the knowledge and understanding of collecting the data, keeping the evidences in place, and so on and so forth. But always it's a struggle at the end of the year when we start looking at the evidences through a third party, basically, and you know what, and then we get all sort of answers. I'm just new into the organization. The last person, the handover was not done properly, and things and so on and so forth, right? So I mean, the Excel sheet was tampered, you know. I don't know, there was an error in the formula, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. So what I expect that going forward, when we have this software in place, we would be able to minimize a majority of these questions, and then we can actually start looking at the cost functionality and everything. But I think, you know what, apart from the health and safety officers who are at the site and who are doing this study, right? Sometimes it becomes a challenge for them because they are not aware about the ESG aspect. Because across the board, pan India, if you look at what is happening is every health and safety person is saying, you know what, I am looking at the ESG aspect as well, which is not the way you look at it, right? I mean, health and safety is a different domain, ESG is a different domain. You know, a health and safety person should not be working in the ESG aspect. Of course, in ESG, we look at the health and safety, occupational health and safety, and other aspect. That is true. But you know what? Again, I mean, the limitation here is finding right people who have spent or who have qualification ESG, who understand biodiversity and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I mean. So, I mean, it evolves all the way, and we have to interact with people. And I don't know, it's a tough question to answer. I don't want to spew beans here, but yeah, of course. I mean, we do have. No, but even though we have rigorous CSMS process and we make everybody aware about what are our goals and what are our ESG policies, and we outline them, various other tasks and everything. But again, having the right candidate becomes everything challenging for us down the line.
Well put by you, Rahul. Not spilling the beans much out of it, but yeah. So yeah, before ending the panel discussion and moving to the audience questions, I would like to put a common, a question to all of you. You can take half a minute to answer it. Looking ahead, what does an ESG operating system for your business looks like? We can start with Subhra, and then we can move from there.
Yes. So again, difficult to summarize in 30 seconds or half a minute, you said, Pratik, because ESG itself is a very, very vast topic. I think we are all dealing with it in different ways, but I think we are there. We are we have taken a lot of steps, a lot of measures, and we are slowly approaching this. And of course, we would need a technology very strongly to drive this from my aspects. and also a lot of capacity building and collaboration with our supplier partners, and not only supplier partners, with partners like you, the digital platform, the technology partners, etc. We need to come together to work on this. And if you really want to accelerate, then I think there are some strong partnerships, smart technology, redefining of processes, for example, and also, I mean, kind of how we understand this topic. Most important is the mindset. So we need to work on all of these parameters simultaneously to kind of create an impact and also accelerate in this. Yeah? So I think I could sum up this much, and I will leave up to other panelists to add on.
Sunilji, your thoughts on it?
Yeah. See, ESG system for the business, let us say, it's useful for us as far as risk prevention is there. We are predicting the climate risks, whereas in multiple sites, human resource is very important for us. Heat waves, flood, such type of risk, we can safeguard them, our equipments. So business as such, risk prevention, ESG acts as a very helpful tool. Whereas you can update yourself, you can add the value, you can optimize your resources and costs in view of operational efficiencies, which in turns from the resource or energy, whatever measures are required for ESG system. Circularity is one of the best example where you can use the resources very effectively. So ESG as a system is very helpful, and it's evolving. It will take shape as the time goes. And business sustainability is totally dependent on ESG right now. It's not only the financial something to predict. Non-financial factors are very, very important right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, this is something a sea change for me coming back to India after a lot of time working abroad. But I really feel, no matter how strong standards or safeguards or frameworks we have, maybe this could be in place, or you need to comply those based on your investor or lender requirements, or there could be certain regulations within India, which the supplier or the manufacturer need to comply, But I think real challenge in India, I think, is no matter what we have in place or what we need to have in place, I think it's basically the CXOs, they need to understand and be more proactive and provide resources to get the ESG stuff done, whatever is applicable within the industry. If you look at the quantum of amount of money that you need to spend on the ESG aspect, irrespective of the industry, I don't think it is even, it could be less than 1% of your probably capex or this thing, Instead of spending the money on somewhere else, I mean, you can do that. I mean, it's not that it's not that the ESG teams are asking horrendous amounts of money, right? You can plan your capex accordingly, you plan your OPEX accordingly. Can you say that this by buying this machine worth of millions of dollars is going to save me X amount of time or save me X amount of energy, and you are ready to invest in that, right? But what about the local ecosystem that you're going to destroy in the near future or in the long run, right? So I think it's all with the CXOs. Nothing else can change anything, probably.
Certainly right. Yeah, Brajesh.
Yeah, just to sum up, in my opinion, and it's pretty difficult also eventually at last. But for me, there are four keywords that should be mandated eventually. One is a collaboration. I agree with Subra. Means it's not one person job or one corporate job, right? It's a job of everyone, from top leader of means it's required political will, from national or international perspective, right? Both. Then there is a adoption of a technology, right? What we are seeing right now, the developing countries and developed countries have some gap, right, which needed to be filled. If someone has developed some technology, it should be shared among the countries or among different industries, right? The another one is education on this subject. It should be part of small curriculum of school children's too, which is has been started, but still there are gaps, right? So, and another thing is that the countries like India, where it should be mandated in MSME sector too, right? Then it can give you a result in long term. Uh, because still the MSME sector is not fully organized towards this perspective of ESG or a sustainability, right? But still lots of things come from MSME. So in my opinion, we need to uh, have to be bit organized in this sector, right? Then only we can achieve the long-term goals or eventually a short-term goals. Rather to talk about a long term, we should preliminary focus on a short-term stuff. So that's how we can eventually conclude this. We can have a questions
Okay.
and eventually,
Yeah,
Pratik,
yeah.
we should appreciate you that you have come up with pretty hard questions, right? Means it's not that so huge amount of applause for you also means I
Thank
have
you so
attended
much.
many programs like that, but your questions are pretty practical and how the world or eventually leaders like us are facing challenges, all right, or in a mindset of individuals, how what kinds of challenges are coming in this field. You have
So
touched down
we
those areas, right? And
correct,
let's
sir. So
see
we
how.
gauge it. We gauge it from the conversations which we have day in and day out with you guys. So we take it from
Right.
there as well. But yeah, thank you so much for your kind words. So thank you all speakers for your insights. We'll now take a few questions from the audience. I would request you to put your questions in chat or in Q&A section so that our speakers can answer them.
Yeah, Pratik,
Yeah, yeah, Rahul.
sorry, I have to leave because I have another call in another 5 minutes. So I'm sorry about that.
Perfect.
But
No,
yeah,
no,
thank
perfectly
you.
fine, perfectly
Same
fine. We have
same with
Yeah,
already
me, Pratik,
stretched.
also.
We have already
And
stretched it.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
already
Thank you so
stretched
much.
it.
Thank you,
sorry
everyone.
from my side also, Pratik. Means I have also another call, and it's
Sure,
hard
sure.
to speak, right? But you can take up the questions and just write down us a mail. We'll try to revert
Yeah, yeah,
back.
we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do
Thank you
that.
so much,
Yeah,
Sunil ji and Shobha.
Thank
It was a
you. Thank you,
very good
everyone.
discussions, and we'll try to connect on LinkedIn with you guys, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
thank you, Brajesh, and
Pratik,
thank
Thank
you,
you,
there
Rahul.
are
Pratik
Thank you
some
ji.
so much.
questions.
Yeah, yeah,
Pratik,
that's
there
I'm
are some
taking.
questions in chat. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So Subra, there's a specific question from Pooja, I guess. Yeah, no, no. There was one specific question. Yeah. From Ritvik Mondal, he's wanted to ask how do you ensure procurement and sustainability go hand in hand?
Okay. So again, so firstly, I start with this. Why do you differentiate between procurement and sustainability? I mean, let's start with kind of a question that, I know that sustainability is new. ESG is talking, I think, 2, 3 years. We have been talking very strongly about it. We need to integrate sustainability into our procurement. Yeah, I have also been into procurement for the last 11 years, and I also joined ESG, to be very honest, in last, 3 years I've been driving this topic for supply chain. it's it's challenging, but I think it's not impossible, right? So when you think about procurement, it's also about productivity. You need to think about quality, you need to think about resilience, considering all the geopolitical situation and stuff. Then why not we think about sustainability? And of course, whatever we are doing, we need to do it in a sustainable way. So when I'm talking about sustainability, again, it's not only about the environmental aspects, it's about the social aspect, it's about the governance. Because even if you see that when you're doing a procurement or kind of a negotiation, you have some governance in place, you have some protocols in place. It is all part. It's a new name, ESG or sustainability, but we are all doing that knowingly and unknowingly. Maybe the name is becoming too and too kind of prominent at this point of time, but we were already doing it. But we just needed to kind of think about it a little bit more and integrate into every step. And whether it's procurement or anything, whatever you're doing, doesn't matter. But it needs to be integrated in whatever you are doing, even in your personal front. I can go on and on because that's a topic which I work in and out. But yeah, that would be from my
No, no,
side.
happy to have those answers in detail. So there is one more question. Any of you can take. Sunilji, if you can answer this. Are there specific metrics or ESG indicators that you recommend tracking in real time versus quarterly or annually? This is from Pooja. You're on mute. You're on mute, Sunilji.
I would say this is a very big, specific question, but difficult to answer. I would try my best. Okay. You can draw from your materiality, which is very, very important for you. And whatever measurables are there, which are very critical for you, you can put down the metrics and indicator for that. The monitoring frequency, it is up to you. Initially, in some of the parameters, it can be daily or hourly. Let us say if you are putting some solar panel or efficiency or something. Initially, you can monitor for every week or day what efficiency and what generation is there. Once it is standardized, you can revise the frequency. So it's up to the geographical as well as the team's comfort. Once the things are standardized, you can lower the frequency.
Perfectly fine. So I'm so sorry. There are a few more questions, but we are already extended our time. We'll surely post them to our panelists, and we'll try to get those answers later, and we'll put that in some kind of a document which we can share with you. Thank you once again to all our panelists for sharing their time and perspectives, and to everyone who joined us today. This conversation highlighted not only the complexity of ESG implementation, but also the clear opportunity for organizations to lead through data, systems, and shared accountability. As I said, if you have any further questions or would like to connect with us or our panelists, please feel free to reach out. Have a great day. Thank you so much, Subhra, Sunilji, Rajesh, and Rahul. Thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pratikji. Thank you, Vinapani. Thank you, Adapt team for this opportunity and wonderful audience.
Yes, thanks
Thank you
everyone.
so
Bye-bye.
much.
Have a nice day.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
Okay.